Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Morgan, and today we have a very special guest. This is our amazing client, Phoebe. Phoebe, welcome to the show. I am
Thank
so
you.
excited to interview you.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm a huge fan of your podcast and obviously you. And yeah, it's super exciting.
Yes, I can't wait for our conversation. And I did have the pleasure of Phoebe doing my makeup today. And I have to say, I feel like I look the best I've ever looked. Thank you, Phoebe.
Yay!
Tell us a little bit about you.
My name's Phoebe. I'm from New Zealand originally, but I live in Los Angeles now. I'm a makeup artist here in LA. Yeah.
Yes, and she is one of the best makeup artists. So if you
Thank you.
need help with your event, I mean, she is amazing. So I'm so happy to be here with you and spend this time. I know that you have gone through the Empowered.Secure.Loved program, and I've gotten to know you while you've been in the program. And I was like, okay, Phoebe, will you tell your story? Will you come on the show and be brave? And you agreed to do it. So
Yes.
I'm just so happy to have you here telling your story.
Me too. Thank you.
Yes, I think when we're willing to open up and be vulnerable and be real about the journey, it's just so helpful to other people who need to do the work.
Yes. Yeah. And it's such an amazing journey. The program is so incredible. It's like totally changed my life. So it's really cool to like
Oh,
share it and just hear when other people go through the program and like how much it changed their life and like changed their relationships. And so hopefully my story can help someone.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and dive in. I want to start out with just kind of going all the way back to even childhood, before you were in the program. Can you tell me a little bit about, I guess, we do that exercise in the program, the relationship inventory, where
Mm-hmm.
we have you look at your significant relationships and some of those patterns. Tell us a little bit about those patterns and the things you experienced before doing the work.
Oh my gosh. So that exercise was so powerful. It was
Mhm.
really crazy to look back at all my relationships and my longer relationships and just really see how it was like a similar emotional environment to my childhood. Um, and yeah, just kind of seeing the dynamics be repeated and I realizing too, like just not feeling heard or like not feeling
Mhm.
enough or some of the painful things that or just that I didn't have a model for healthy boundaries growing up or like that I felt like when I did speak up I wasn't heard or I didn't even know how to speak up and just so many different things or even just looking back at guys I dated and being like wow I dated so many emotionally unavailable people or people that had like some kind of substance abuse issue or there just wasn't good conflict resolution. So even though it was like painful, it was like empowering to see and be like, oh
Mhm.
my God, like I want to change this so bad.
Yeah, you were able to see the patterns clearly and see that
Yes.
you were attracting the emotionally unavailable partners, which kind of mirrored what you experienced growing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know we talk a lot about repetition, compulsion in the program, and we'll definitely talk about that today. Before we do that, tell me a little bit about like young Phoebe, like 5, 6 years old. What were you experiencing in terms of, your parents, and you and I had talked about like them not modeling how to set boundaries and how to have
Mm-hmm.
healthy communication.
I feel like I can't remember a lot of my childhood. So I don't know if
Mhm.
I blocked out or like dissociated from some of it, but I think um I can remember more of like my teenage years and just like my parents split up when I was a young teenager and
Mhm.
just it was definitely like a difficult time and just really not feeling safe and like I definitely like drank a lot as a teenager and would go out and party
Mhm.
and get in trouble and so I think I was just trying not to be home as much as possible. Um and but yeah, I think just like not feeling heard and just and also like physical boundaries too. Like I think it really affected just feeling like sometimes my parents or my mom like wouldn't respect my physical boundaries and my parents are kind of dealing with a lot themselves emotionally, so they weren't really in
Mhm.
tune with my emotions. So when I tried to say things, I just didn't feel heard. So I think that really caused me to be so shy and like shut down as a person and just try to
Mm.
say like the least amount possible and not make anyone else uncomfortable and just kind of, yet very like reserved within myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it sounds like you learned kind of just to stay quiet and to not take up space, and that
Hmm.
it wasn't safe for you to express your emotions or express your needs.
Yeah, yeah, and I think even just being emotional, and I think the taking up space thing is something I really noticed in this program of like, just feeling like, oh, I can say like two sentences, and then someone else will say like 20 minutes of conversation, and just
Mm.
feeling like I don't want to take up too much space.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I know we talk about this in the program that our parents are doing the best that they can,
Mm-hmm.
and there's ways that they fail us.
Mm-hmm.
And it can feel really hard to look at those truths, especially in the relationship inventory, looking at the ways that you were failed as a child.
Yeah.
What was that like for you in terms of looking at those relationships as an adult now?
Mm-hmm. Um, I think it was tough. It was challenging. Um, and I think too, like I can see like when I look at what my parents had before, what they grew up with, it's like they're just trying to do the best they can. They didn't have the tools to maybe self-regulate or self-soothe, or like they don't have maybe a secure attachment style, so they
Mhm.
don't know how to like build a healthy relationship or work through conflict. So then that trickled down to me and my sister.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it was very powerful and, tough.
Yeah, and I know one of the things we talked about was even allowing you now to kind of have a different relationship with your parents. Do you feel like doing this impacted how you relate to them currently?
Yes. Yeah. And I was just mentioning, like, before we got on here, of like even just being able to like set boundaries and bring things up or just even
Mhm.
share how I feel. Because before I would just like not share how I feel and like say like something very simple, like I'm good. And now it's like I am more emotionally open with my parents and I'll share and I'll let them see me cry and like speak up to them more or just be
Mhm.
more like authentic, and then they can respond however they like to that, but at least I'm being my true self.
This is so powerful because I think when you've grown up a certain way and it's ingrained in you to not take up space or not to express yourself and it doesn't feel emotionally safe, when that is your pattern
Hmm.
and then you're trying to show up differently, I think it's just so powerful to realize that no matter how long a relationship has been a certain way, that if you start showing up differently, you can start to redefine that relationship with your parents,
Hmm.
and realizing that when we are authentic, when we are expressing ourselves, and we know that we can self-soothe, we're not going to depend on our parents to have a certain reaction. Like, we know we can self-soothe and show it for ourselves. Then it allows us to be so much closer
Yes.
to our parents. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And even with my sister, like we have an amazing relationship, but just to reflect and like heal and like I'll tell her about stuff, and we've been able to have amazing conversations and just reflect on like, wow, we were like hot messes in our 20s and we've come
Yeah.
so far and like built, so much healthier relationships. And so that's been amazing.
I love it. I love it. Well, I always like to ask clients this when I'm interviewing them because I think it's really important, and I think there's people in the audience that will relate to this too. Do you know what some of your old core beliefs were? Like when you get down to the root of what your old beliefs were about yourself and relationships?
Yeah, I think one of them was definitely like reflecting back of like just not feeling good enough, like feeling like I work so hard in my career, like I'm going to the gym all the time, I get my nails done, my hair done, and just working so hard and just not
Mm,
feeling good enough, even though I'm trying so hard to like be perfect and overachieve,
mhm,
or just being not good enough. I think like to be heard and like taking up space and like my having my feelings matter and my voice matter and what was important to me mattering. So
mhm,
definitely that, and just yeah, I think choosing a lot of emotionally unavailable people, like that was very powerful. What else? I'm trying to think of them
I mean,
now.
the not being good enough
But
core
that was
belief
a core
that,
one,
oh
yeah.
my gosh, that is, I feel like so many people are walking around with that belief and they don't even realize it. And then it
Mhm.
just leads to so much pain and trauma.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, and
so,
I just thought of another one,
okay,
sorry.
no, tell us.
Yeah, so also just with closeness, like I felt so unsafe
Mm.
with like people being really close to me, and like even just physical touch, it like felt so unsafe. So
Mm.
I think that was a big one too, like just being like, okay, like it's safe to let the right people close to me. And like that was, it sounds very simple, but like that was very empowering.
Oh, that gives me goosebumps thinking about like here we are on this podcast being so vulnerable and you and I are close and it's like just seeing you get to this place where you feel emotionally safe enough in yourself to then let people in.
Hmm.
It's so beautiful just seeing that transformation. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I want to get to the juicy like transformation, like all the good stuff, but I want to also ask you about like the kinds of relationship patterns that you were having.
Hmm.
Um, like tell us like a typical type of partner that you would attract in the past. Like what would happen?
I think so. I think I'm more avoidant, and I would choose people that were more avoidant than me.
Okay. So
So
avoidantly attached,
yes,
attracting avoidantly attached
more
people,
avoid, even
even
more
more
avoid.
avoidant than you. Okay.
Yes. So I feel like I would, like, I wouldn't even like. It's not like I was initiating the relationship conversation or like pushing or being super anxious, but like when it would get to the point where I would want to like make it move a little bit more forward, like that person would pull away. And definitely just, yeah, just unavailable guys that maybe they would end up choosing like drinking more and making me feel uncomfortable than like really
Okay.
connecting with me. And then just feeling like you get a little closer and then that person's pulling away
Yeah.
or keeping their exes around, or just different ways that they just weren't like making me a priority that I really wanted to be.
Mhm.
But I think before the past 2 years, I also was terrified of commitment, and also like if I did date anyone and they wanted to move forward, like I would run away. So I think it was on both sides.
And I know when there's that kind of relationship dynamic, there's a couple things that I think about. One is that you feel like you end up in a lot of relationships that don't ever like really become a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, you know, like what are we doing here? It's not really
Yes.
defined.
Yeah.
And then in those kinds of connections, a lot of times what happens is they just kind of fizzle out. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
just that slow fade. Was
Yes.
that something you experienced?
Definitely. Yes. Or it would be like a sudden, like something would happen and we just quickly, I was so quick also too to like end things and block people and like cut people
Okay.
off, and not have that resolution. But I think, um, yeah, also too, like in my longer relationships, we never talked about marriage. We wouldn't talk about the future.
Okay.
So as long as we didn't have like a plan, we were like safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense in terms of the second point I wanted to bring up is like when we don't feel safe being close to people, then we
Mhm.
always attract people who are emotionally unavailable.
Mm.
Because if someone was really emotionally available and really ready to invest in you,
I'd
then
probably be like, have a panic attack and
yeah,
run away.
it would feel terrifying,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that makes total sense about those patterns that you were experiencing. But obviously, there's this part of you. Tell me about that part that was like, oh, I really do want a relationship.
Yes. Yeah. So I feel like I really, yeah, I realized like, oh my gosh, I want a relationship so much more than I'm scared of it. And I want to be close and I want that like unconditional love and someone that's going to want a future with me and show up and lean in. And I think I've just never even had that feeling of just being like with someone. Like it always felt like in my relationships they could end at any moment, and there was
Mhm.
no security where it's like we're in this together, we're going to make it happen, I want to be with you,
Mhm.
um, I see a future with you. So I just, yeah, now I'm like I want that so bad, I'm willing to do like whatever it takes, and I want to do the work to heal and find someone healthy and that's ready.
I love it. Yeah. And that kind of leads me to asking, what was it that got you to join us inside of the program? And like, how did you finally get to this place where you were like, okay, I'm ready to do this work. I'll do
Hmm.
whatever it takes. Let's go.
I think just realizing that I was just struggling. Like I was dating and I was trying, it felt like I was trying so hard and going on dates and trying to meet people and just not getting the results I wanted. And I
Mhm.
knew, like, I could see the pattern of, like, I just felt like even in the beginning when I joined the program, like I would bring up like someone wouldn't want to see me more than once a week, or I'd go on dates and they wouldn't set up the next day, and I was just like so over it.
Yeah.
So that just really motivated me to be like, I want marriage and I want to find someone. So I'll do whatever it takes.
And I love that there's such a vulnerability in being honest with ourselves about what we truly desire.
hmm
Because especially in a culture like LA and just I think today's world, it's so easy to just say, I'm going to prioritize my career. I'm good by myself. You and I know this, there's so much hyper independence happening
Yes.
in today's world that I feel like it's truly vulnerable when we're honest with ourselves and say, no, like, I do want that person. I want partnership.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that was my safety net for a long time, was like, I have my career and I know if I put in the work I'll get results, and I'm good at it, and so I can just have that and I'm good on my own. But it's like, no, like it's vulnerable to be like, no, I really want someone and I want the career.
Yes. And you get to
Yeah.
have
And
both.
to have both. Yes.
We get to have both.
Yes.
Yes, I know. We've been talking about that. Tell us about just your journey in the program. Like what was it like coming in and doing the work?
It's been amazing. The program is not even that long. I mean, I chose to stay in it and continue, but
Mm.
it's only 2 months long, and it's been so life changing in every single area of my life. And I just feel like, too, um, I mean, I could say a million things, but I just really have this deep sense of like faith that, like, I know I'm going to meet
Mhm.
my person. I'm excited. Like, I've so much faith in it. And I think to really work through all those limiting beliefs and see at the beginning that I really was like operating unconsciously from this place of like not believing it and like
Mhm.
sabotaging or like pushing things away, or just even not even having the courage to like ask for what I want. And I
Mhm.
think that I love this program because it's like you talk about your whole life. Like, what kind of life do you really want to have? What kind of relationship do you really want to have? What kind of career do you really want to have? So you can like really design your dream life and then believe that you can have it and go for it and get rid of all the stuff that's like blocking you from it.
Ah, I love that you brought this up. I have this quote that I posted a long time ago on Instagram that said, your partner should not be your whole world, but they're your favorite continent to visit.
I love that. I love
Because
that.
it really does come out of trauma, where we get this idea that, okay, our partner is supposed to be everything, right? It's like
hmm
this unhealthy codependence. Partnership's wonderful.
Yes.
It's something we all deserve, and it's a beautiful part of life, but it's not everything.
hmm
So that was always my goal in the program too, to help people address their entire lives. Tell us about what you've experienced just in your career and like how it helped you.
Um, I feel like it helped me. Well, it's odd that it's funny, like what I said earlier. It's just funny that I'm in this career where I'm so close to people,
Yeah.
which is a kind of ironic. But I think it's just helped me so much with just energetically. Like, I feel safer, I feel more calm, I'm more regulated. I feel like it's completely changed like what I'm attracting, the opportunities I'm
I love it.
attracting, just everything. It's like really changed in like such a big way. And even like my income went up after I joined the
I
program.
love it.
Yeah, and just the kind of people, like I've gotten so clear with the kind of clients I want to work with, and girlfriends. Like my my relationships have really enriched my girlfriends, and like we are so there for each other and have such great communication, and that's been so powerful as well.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it. And I feel like this isn't talked about enough, how secure attachment, it just helps you in every single area.
Yes.
When you have that regulated nervous system, you're so clear on what you deserve. You're not looking for this external validation to tell you that you're good enough. You know that you're enough, right?
hmm
It just so ups your capacity for receiving.
Yes. Yes. I feel like too, just feeling, instead of focusing on the outside, I've been more just like, yeah, like when you just feel good on the inside and you feel regulated, like things just flow and like it's
Yeah.
okay. And even if bad stuff happens, it's like good stuff. You just allow so much more in, which is amazing.
I love it. That's one of my quotes on my morning alignment is when I feel good, life just flows.
I love that.
And I really believe that, like learning how to show up for yourself first. So I'm so glad you've been able to do that and it's helped your career. It's amazing. Um, One part of the program we haven't talked about that I said that we would, that is so important, is this repetition compulsion piece.
Mhm.
And for the audience, if you don't know what that is, essentially repetition compulsion is where you're repeating patterns from your childhood, your unfinished business. You're recreating those same childhood dynamics in your adult relationships. And then the brain has this unconscious wish that this time we'd get a different result,
Mhm.
right? So if I had an emotionally unavailable, avoidantly attached father, for example, then I'm going to attract that kind of partner into my dating life. And there's an unconscious desire that this time I can get the result that I craved, which is to have their love and to be chosen and to not be abandoned. If I can just get that result, it'll make up for everything I experienced in the past. Um, and so many people are doing this and they have no awareness that they're doing it. Tell us about going through that part of the program, the awareness it brought to you.
Oh my gosh, that part of the program is so powerful and amazing. And yeah, to look back at the people I dated, oh my gosh, even just specific things they said or did was like literally stuff that my dad did in childhood or like stuff the people that I dated, which wasn't many of them that were more on the anxious side, were it made me feel similar to my mom and reacted similar
Mm.
to my mom. Yeah, seeing the and then even with clients, because it's like you're attracting that in every area, or girlfriends, or what
Yes.
I would attract, girlfriends where it didn't feel like there was enough space for me in the conversation, or we would
Yeah.
meet up and they would, talk most of the time, or but yeah, in relationships for sure, a lot of just seeing the patterns so clearly, like, wow, this person, like, I'm trying so hard to be perfect and be a good girlfriend or a good partner, and like it's never good enough, or they're always choosing like they're choosing investing time, energy, emotion into something else, and they never choose me, and it's
Mhm.
like I can see that pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I know in the program we have you kind of like go to the root of it and do some
Mhm.
letter writing and it's some really deep work. Was a lot of people tell me this is one of the most difficult parts of the program.
Mhm.
How was it for you doing that?
It was definitely difficult and emotional. Like, I think this work is heavy work. Like, it
Yes.
is good to do it when you have some time off work, because
Yeah.
you really are going deep, and it really did, my whole day. It's like I'm kind of thinking about it and processing it, but it is so powerful to write the letters and say a
Mhm.
lot of stuff that you didn't, maybe it wasn't safe to say to that person, or that person wouldn't receive it well, or relationships that suddenly ended. It's good to just kind of write and get those feelings out and see the patterns and limiting beliefs in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think, what we realize is when we do go to the root and then we address it at the root and we kind of address, the person who it's meant for. We work through that unfinished business. It's no longer unfinished. We've dealt with it.
Hmm.
Then we're making different decisions in our dating lives.
Yeah. Yes. And I've seen that too. Like, even just dating in the program, it's like I don't get triggered how I used to. I'm able
I
to
love that.
like breathe and like respond, or see what's coming up, and like self soothe, or like talk about it, and really have awareness around that as well.
I love that because I think it's about like who you're becoming, the securely attached identity and
Hmm.
having the ability to regulate your emotions, all of that juiciness that's so important. And it's also about that you're no longer displacing your childhood unfinished business on your current dating life. So the
Yes.
things that are happening currently, they're just about what's happening currently. They're not about your childhood as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love one of the things that you talk about where it's like, yeah, you're not acting from this wounded place, this triggered,
Yes.
wounded place that's like 30 years of like heavy energy.
Yeah.
And even I notice it when I am dating. I notice when other people are acting from that wounded place instead of what
Yeah.
the exact thing that we're talking about is happening. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. This is such an important shift. And then the next thing I want to kind of switch to is your securely attached identity. This is one of the most fun parts of the work that we do, but it's really getting crystal clear on who is securely attached, Phoebe, the
Hmm.
secure you exercise. Um, how has that been for you? Like stepping into this new version of yourself. You've heard me talk about the messy middle. Like
Yes.
we know it's not just like snap your fingers, boom, you're this person, but now you have this identity, you have this way of showing up. Um, what's that been like and what's different about that version of you?
It's been amazing. I feel like I've been able to be just so much more present because I
Mhm.
think something that I was doing like unconsciously is like dissociating and being like everything's fine. I'd seem really cool and chill, but
Yeah.
I wasn't like self-soothing or anything. And I mentioned this to you earlier, but like I just feel like naturally too, I like haven't wanted to like drink as much or just
Yeah.
like I just really want to be so present and like that's been huge. And just feeling really present with other people and like being able to hold space for their emotions, for my
Mhm.
emotions, being able to share my emotions with people instead of just being like, I'm fine. And yeah, just feeling like I think it's so powerful to just feel like safe within yourself. So it's like
Mhm.
wherever I go, I know I'm fine and I'm so much more relaxed because it's like I'm good. And then everything else kind of reflects that back as well. So,
Oh, so,
yeah.
so good. And I feel like when you are showing up as that securely attached version of you, then those relationships that are meant to deepen and the people you're supposed to get close to, it just kind of happens naturally.
Yes. Yeah, it's a much more of like an ease and just having faith too with dating as well, where it's like more peaceful and like ease,
Hmm.
where it's like, okay, like the abundance mindset is one of the things you talk about a lot, where it's like there's a lot of amazing people out there and guys want relationships and it's just like I guess being on a vibration for those guys where it's like
Yeah.
and knowing that they're out there too.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
you becoming the match where you are emotionally available
Hmm.
and you being emotionally safe enough now to go, wow, if there's someone who comes into my life and they're emotionally available, I'm going to be able to accept their love.
Yes. Yeah, and that yeah, maybe that's a super powerful thing as well. Is like just even allowing like good things and like love to come in at a higher capacity. I feel like that's a
Yeah.
big thing in the program is like raising your capacity for like love and connection and closeness has been
Yeah.
amazing.
I love it. And I know we talked about this a little bit, but dating specifically, like how do you think you're dating differently now? Like what's different?
Oh my gosh, so different. I think I was probably dating from like a more avoidant, like maybe wounded place before. And now, since I've been doing all this work, it's like I'm usually the one where the other person runs away, or I'm more leaned in, or I'm like initiating deeper conversations. So that
Yeah.
has like been a big shift for me. And yeah, just showing up more peacefully and securely. And dating can be fun. And I can go on a date and to like ending it in a really peaceful way if it's like we're not aligned, we don't see a future
Hmm.
together. And just yeah, I think it's just so much more fun now and it's like growing and just showing up in a different way that other people respond so different as well.
I love that. And I think I remember when I was first starting to date from a securely attached place and kind of realizing that, oh my gosh, breakups don't have to be like this big dramatic thing where I can't get out of bed for 2 weeks and, I play the same song on repeat and lay on the floor and eat a pint of Ben and Jerry's and cry myself to sleep every night. Like breakups don't have to be that way. We can actually when we show up from a secure place and we have abundance mindset,
Hmm.
we can go, wow, okay, I learned from this relationship. What did I learn from it?
Yeah.
And we can still be sad. There's still some grieving, but then we're able to kind of bounce back and get back out there so much more quickly
Yes.
and like not bringing the hurt from the breakup into your dating life.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's been really powerful too, of just, yeah, being able to process a breakup and like, yes, I'm sad, and like, yes, I'll cry and be upset, but just more from like a peaceful standpoint of being like, okay, yeah, like what did I learn?
Yeah.
Reflecting back on it, what do I want to do next time? What were things that triggered me? Or like, yeah, just it's like a growth experience, and it just gets better each time. And
Yeah.
even when I've gone on a few dates and it hasn't worked out, then we're able to really be like, hey, you're amazing, but like, I just, this is
Yeah.
not it, and I wish you the best, and it's like so peaceful.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to mean anything bad
Yeah.
about you. You're not connecting your self-worth to your results in dating.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's been big too. Yeah.
I love it. And I know we were talking about this. It's like as you're becoming securely attached, you feel like the type of person that you're attracting is just getting closer and closer to your emotionally available ideal partner. And you can kind of
Mhm.
go, oh, yeah, there's ways that this person was definitely closer to what I wanted.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like the last person I dated was so much closer, and like such a big shift from like who I was dating before the program. And like he really did like initiate the next date, and we had so many deep conversations, and like no one was drinking too much, and like it was so like it felt really present and great in so many ways.
Mm,
And yeah, just even dates that I've gone on, it's like with really great guys that were so nice and kind and good people, and just not, just haven't met the right person yet, but it has been like a huge shift.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, you and I feel like we need to talk about this on the podcast because there's a lot of people who are kind of sick of the dating scene. And we were
Mhm.
talking about LA specifically, and I know you can speak to this, but just this kind of feeling of like it's a game and it's almost like who can put in the least amount of effort. And there can be this energy in the dating scene of like, how do I just get what I want without having to put effort in?
Mhm.
Like who can invest the least? Um, like how has that been in terms of navigating some of the dating scene while also trying to show up differently?
Mhm.
Like I just want to give people some hope.
Yeah, I think definitely like these teachings in this program has like helped me a lot, and also too just not taking it personally. I think before too I'd get like so it was just frustrating because it's like you're dating and someone like shows interest, and then they don't ask you on a date again. You're like, what's happening? And it's
Yeah.
so flaky and inconsistent, and
Mhm.
everyone, and we're in LA, so everyone's chasing their career and their dreams, and they're distracted, and there's so many beautiful people and options. But I think it's really helped me too, where it's like rejection is redirection, and to get to the point where I like truly believe that, and like even if I get ghosted, or I don't know, something happens and it's really unexpected, it's like, okay, that person, it's not for me. I've no
Yeah.
desire to like chase that person or reach back out. It's like I can wish them the best and like keep going, and
Mhm.
knowing that like there are people in LA that want a relationship. And I think it also like it's sad to see girlfriends and people I work with that are so amazing and bring so much to the table, and they're dating, they just want to give up on dating because they're like it's
Mhm.
so disappointing, and they're really beautiful people, but they just keep getting disappointed or flaked on, or just you hear these dating horror stories,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh my gosh, I so want them to meet an amazing person too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what I would want the audience to know, and people who are kind of at that place where they're struggling and they're feeling discouraged, is just that you don't have to play the games of the dating scene. Like just
Hmm.
because that's what's going on doesn't mean that you have to show up that way. I think always remembering that you get to decide what do you want your dating life to look like and feel like,
Hmm.
and to have the clarity on your standards. And then I always talk about this, Phoebe, but having that North Star of how do you want to feel in your relationship,
Yeah.
and really connecting to those three core emotions of how do you want to feel, and then just gathering the data on, wow, do I feel this way when I'm in the presence of this person? And then the other thing I want to say about this is empty space in your dating life. So being
Oh,
single,
yeah.
not having someone, not even going on dates, empty space in your dating life is so much better than filling it up with the wrong people.
Yeah, I feel like that's been so empowering too, of just like if it's not it, like not having, what is it called? Those people that are like orbiting or
Yeah.
hovering around or looking at your stories. It's like just really, really clearing the space and like being so intentional and having faith and yeah, the North Star and staying focused on what's important and just really like assessing that and being relaxed and having this like abundance mindset has been so helpful.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
entertaining, people that want to breadcrumb or just show up when it's convenient for them, and not having situationships, etc.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
leave that space empty. And then I think the beautiful thing that you can do is just give your energy to yourself instead of giving energy to a relationship that can't go anywhere. You've heard me say this a million times, but I always tell people we don't want to water plastic plants.
Hmm.
We don't want to give our energy to a relationship that can't grow. So why do we let people fill up the space in our dating life if we know that, okay, this really doesn't have potential to become what I want?
Yeah.
So leave that space empty if it's not with the right people.
Yeah. Yeah. And that has been so powerful too, to just have that mindset and use that time to like pour into myself or like work on the beliefs or work on,
Yeah.
me and make
Hmm.
space for the right person and yeah, have clear
I love it.
energy. Yeah.
I love it. Well, you and I were having some deep chats while you were doing my makeup, which I love. We were talking about all the things. And I think one of the topics we also talked about was securely attached sex.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that doesn't get talked about enough. It's something that I really wish I had understood at a much earlier age. And I know you and I feel the same way of like, we want to like help people understand this. We've talked about dissociation,
Mm-hmm.
and I think so many women are experiencing that and they don't even realize it. And then that way of coping where essentially you're cutting off from being present, like you're not in your body, you're not feeling your emotions, you're cut off from your experience. I feel like that's happening so much in women's sex lives and men too,
Yeah.
where it's not this intentional, conscious decision. So let's talk about this. I feel like this could
Yes.
be a whole other podcast
I
episode,
know.
but let's at least touch on it.
Yeah, I think that's so important to talk about, especially in big cities too. But yeah, I think that was something I really struggled with too, is like I want commitment, I want the relationship, but then it's like when you're dating someone, you're attracted to them. Like I think I just struggled with like sleeping with someone too soon or being intimate too soon. I wasn't really comfortable, but it's like you're with them and you want them to feel good and you want to feel good and you don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of it maybe unconsciously is like, oh, maybe they won't like me, or
Mm-hmm.
you don't want them to feel rejected, or there's so many things. And I think, especially as women, maybe we struggle with this more than men. And then you're like, maybe if I sleep with him, he'll be interested enough to like, it'll turn into a relationship instead of really building emotional safety and like a connection and really getting to know who that person is
Yeah.
and feeling comfortable to like take that step. And I think like because when I haven't done that, it's like I just end up feeling unsafe and I don't know where I stand or like
Mm-hmm.
where that other person stands. So that's been like so helpful to like do work around that as well.
I love it. I love it. And I think, like, just touching on this, I just want to normalize for all the people out there that have had this experience of, oh my gosh, it's happening too soon. But I think so many of us have beliefs. I would say probably more women, but also men too.
Mm-hmm.
But we have beliefs about, like, oh, in order to not be abandoned or in order to be chosen or to make sure that this person likes me, then I have to sleep with them. And if I don't sleep with them, then, oh gosh, they might leave me and find someone else. Right. So I think there's all these unhealthy beliefs that we have. And even tying our value to our physical appearance.
Yes, I feel like that is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
like, oh, well, this is the only way I'm going to be worthy or chosen. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you and I have talked about how important it is to instead build the foundation of secure attachment and then say, okay, once I'm emotionally safe, once I even know how do we navigate conflict, like what happens if we disagree, what happens when there's difficult things in the relationship,
Mhm.
and if I can have emotional safety and I can trust this person and I've gathered the data and there's that reciprocal energy and emotional investment and safety, then physical intimacy is a way to deepen the connection.
Yeah.
And I,
Yeah. And that's such a powerful like formula to have that and have that explained, because I feel like otherwise you just operate from your past and you just keep repeating these patterns, but you want to change and you want to maybe wait longer or have these conversations, but like you don't know how and you've never been modeled it either. So I think just like
yeah.
having your program, it's like it helps to be like, okay, like this is what you can do and this is how you do it. And
Hmm.
a lot of women don't know that. And I think too, it's like there's so much pressure too to like be beautiful and be young and have your hair done, and
Yeah.
that's a whole other aspect too. And you know, make sure the guy's happy, otherwise they may go somewhere else, or there's just so much pressure instead.
Hmm.
And instead of being like, okay, like a safe, secure man is going to want to like make you feel safe and you're going to be enough, even you know, when you don't have makeup on or you're, you know, in your sweatpants, and it's that you know, you feel like you don't feel your best, they're gonna want to like pour
Yes.
into you still.
Oh my gosh, Phoebe, you just gave me flashbacks of like when I was in my 20s and dating and being like, I cannot be seen without my makeup on because I was just so insecure and had all my own stuff and believed that my worthiness was tied to my physical appearance. And I remember like literally waking up at like 5 a.m. and like totally washing my face, redoing my makeup, and then hopping back into bed and like just so that the guy would like not see me with messed up makeup or it's crazy these things
Yeah,
that we do, right?
it
Like
is.
but it's all based on those beliefs about our worthiness and what we have to do to not be abandoned. We have all those lies.
Yeah.
Um but I think what I would want people to know too about sex is just because that's like the norm or the culture, like if people are, having sex early, like once again, that doesn't mean that that has to be your dating life or your experience. You can decide your timeline. You can decide what is the pace that you can emotionally invest into a relationship where you can still build secure attachment. Like
Yeah.
you can intentionally slow the pace down. You can be different than whatever the norm is.
Yeah. And even just saying that without being scared and being like having faith that like the right person's gonna respect that and be okay with
Hmm.
that and be like, okay, like no worries, we can, you know, wait till you're ready. And I think that, you know, can be such a fear for so many women too.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally. Well, I could just talk to you forever, but I have some other questions I want to ask you about, and these are things that I always ask our clients. So going back a little bit to your experience in the program, I'm really curious, what was your favorite part? Like, what do you think?
Um, I mean, I love all of it, but I do really love you have this thing called the morning alignment, and it's like, I mean, doing all the belief work before it and getting to the limiting beliefs and like doing all that stuff, it's so hard emotionally, but it's so worth it. And then the
Mhm.
morning alignment is like a thing that you do every morning that we do in the program. And it's just kind of like designing your dream life and
Yeah.
new affirmations and beliefs that you look at every day. And I think that's been so powerful to like start my day that way every single day, and then it
Yeah.
affects how my day goes, and like I get ideas while I'm doing it, and I'm like taking notes and thinking of things, and it just puts me in such a good energy for my whole day.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that practice. And you and I were talking about this of gosh, having that feeling of, oh my goodness, I had this thing come into my life and I like to put a check mark next to the things that happen on my morning alignment. Like, cause then I want to be reminded of the things that I have, brought into my life. So to look at mine now, it's like all these little check marks of things that I have intentionally created in my life. So
I love that. Maybe I should do the check mark, because I take stuff off as I
yeah,
like it comes true, and then I'll like add on new stuff. So I've like even in the last 3 months I've like changed mine so much and updated it, and
I love
yeah.
it. Yeah, it's such a fun process. And even just to look at, wow, like these are all the things that are coming into my life. And I think what it does is it gives you that clarity of identity. Like
Mhm.
who are you really at your core? And then what do you really want in your life? And giving you that absolute clarity so that you're moving towards it.
Mhm. And it
It's
really helps
so
with dating
powerful.
too, because then you're
Yeah.
like, you look at it and you're so aware of like what you value and what you want. And then you can go on a date and be so clear if it's that or not,
Yes.
if it's in alignment.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know it's in alignment. That's why we call it the morning alignment. Yeah, you're getting
Yeah.
in alignment with what you really want. I love that. Okay, and then in the program, we have our group calls, which you've been so one. I love having you on our group
Thank
calls.
you.
Oh my gosh, your energy and the questions and the support for other women, you're such a gift to have in our community. So I love having you there. Obviously, we also have the one-on-one coaching calls. We have the course material. We have our private Facebook community. There's so many ways that you get support while you're in the program.
hmm
Do you have like a favorite one? Because clients are different on this. They all say different things.
I love the calls, like when you're live. I feel like it is really cool to be in a community of women that are trying to better themselves and trying
Yeah.
to meet their person and like cheering each other on and just seeing I've just seeing the amazing transformation of women that are so kind and good people, and they've been hurt and struggled, and then they meet this amazing guy that's like showing up for them and treating them so well. And you always have such great calls where you'll like do this amazing meditation and then
Yeah.
um, like teach, and you always have such great answers. So I always look forward to those, and just having that like in my week every week, it's like something I really look
Yeah.
forward to.
Oh, I love that. Well, I love having you on those calls. It's amazing. Um, and then I know right now there's somebody listening who's really struggling, and maybe they're even saying to themselves, "Oh my gosh, this is working for Phoebe, but it'll never work for me," right? Like we all do that. We're like, "Oh, it'll work for them."
hmm
What would you want to say to that person who's maybe on the fence about doing the program? They're really stuck. What would you say to them?
I would just say, just do it. Like, you need to be in this program. It's amazing. It, like, really from a genuine place, it just really is so helpful. And even just like having those beliefs, like, there's so many people that just believe dating so hard. I've
Mhm.
been hurt so many times. Like, how am I ever going to recover from this or meet a good person? And just feeling so hopeless. And I think it is so powerful to be like, you really can change if you do the
Mhm.
work, and you can feel so much better on the other side. And just having support of like you and the other women and the coaches and everything, it's so helpful, because it
Mhm.
can feel so hopeless, but it is like, okay, we can change. It's neuroscience, like we
Yeah.
can improve, and like we can get the love we want, and everyone can have it no matter how they look or where they're at in life
Yes.
too.
Yes, everyone's deserving of it.
Yeah.
You are such a beautiful example of that, of even just getting to watch you go through your transformation. I mean, I can just tell in the way that you show up and how you are and your energy and um you you are such an example of like someone who can really change their life in a short amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think even just looking back to the beginning of the program, like I think, I'm a really shy person, and like I really found it hard to like ask for what I want or stick up for myself or just different things like in my personal relationships. And it has helped me so much with that. So even just to the shy people out there or the introverts or the people that are more reserved, like it's helped me so much to like come out of my
Good.
shell too.
And look at you now on this
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I love it, Phoebe. Oh my gosh. No, you are such an inspiration. And I think like, when I think about like why do we do this work? Like what is the real reason for it? And it comes back to like really healing our inner child and like giving ourselves that love that we've always been deserving of that maybe we didn't have, and then just being able to really break these cycles of generational trauma and say, okay, this stops here, right? Like I will be the one to create this pattern of healthy, loving, emotionally available relationships. And yes, it's amazing for your own family, but also how you then show up in the world and the way you show up with your clients, the way you show up with your family. Like, you now are this beautiful example of healthy love and healthy relationships. And I just can't think of anything more important in life than being able to show up that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so amazing. And even for the next generation, like my sister is pregnant and she's going to have her son, and just like being able to show up for him in a way that is so different from our parents. And yeah, like you said, every single person you touch, I feel like we're doing this work too. I'll like go to the grocery store and like just have these amazing interactions with people, or at
Yeah.
the gas station, or just make people around you feel safe, because you feel so at peace and so chill and
Yeah.
so like in your body too. I feel like the just being present, because I think when we have trauma or hurt, like it's so unconscious, but we like dissociate so
Yeah.
much. So just being so present and having these amazing interactions with people, and people feel it when you go around, like everywhere you go.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it so much. I'm so proud of you. It's such an honor to get to be in real life with you and have this conversation. And thank you again for doing my makeup. I love
Yeah.
it.
I was so honored and so excited to do your makeup and just be on this podcast, because I love this podcast.
Oh my gosh. I know it, I was having this moment with you while we were walking over today of like, to think that this started in my studio apartment in San Diego with like literally 10 people that would tune into this show. And then now to be at this place where I'm literally in one of the best studios in LA, getting to interview you, and we're, getting over 10,000 people that listen to every single episode and over 5 million downloads. And it's just like, it's so surreal to be at this place. But I'm just incredibly grateful that my career is here, but also that I get to be connected to people like you, because
Yeah.
this is why I do what I do. Stories like yours, like getting to actually help people, that's the fuel that keeps me going. So this is as much for you as it is for me to get to spend this time together and really hear your story.
Well, you're such an inspiration, and I'm so excited to see where you're going to be even in a year from now, because I feel like even just being in the program, like you've grown so much and you're always expanding and you're always recommending amazing books and resources, and I can't wait to just see like where you're going to be in a year. It's going to be crazy.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
Phoebe. And then my final question, I always ask all of my guests this. You've probably heard me say it. If you're walking down the street, someone comes up to you and they want your best life advice of the moment, what would you say to them?
And definitely something about like surrendering,
Mm,
and that I think like doing therapy and healing is like literally the most important work that you could do. Like it
mm,
affects everything. Like it affects your career, your personal life, your family relationships. So just like really really doing the healing work and being
mhm.
vulnerable, and even though it's like painful and challenging, it's so life-changing, and I think everyone should do it.
I love that. I couldn't agree more. Just how important it is to really work on yourself because it's going to impact every single area of your life.
And every
Yes.
single person you literally interact with, like even the grocery store person, like
Yeah.
that is like checking out your food, like it's going to affect your interaction with everyone. So that's massive.
Yes.
And then that's going to affect their interaction with the next person. So it's like a trickle effect.
Amazing. Oh, you have been such an incredible guest. I am so grateful
Thank
for
you.
you.
I'm so
S-
excited to be on here and do this.
Yay.
Yeah.
Amazing. And we will link you in the show notes. Once again, I want to remind people if they need a makeup artist, you are the best of the best.
Thank you.
So,
I
and she
travel. I'm in
travels.
LA.
Yeah, seriously, Phoebe, you are amazing.
Thank
So
you.
honored to know you. Thank you for doing this.
Same.
All right. And everyone who's listening, we are wishing you high self worth and great relationships. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.